Well, lots has happened since we last spoke. Well, we didn't really speak. I was speaking. You were listening, hopefully. Um, but as you can see, I've updated the model to be a bit more accurate in terms of the cockpit and the Dodger Bimini setup. And as you can see here, this rectangular object represents me, or my height anyways. And ideally what I was trying to go for here was the ability to stand up at the helm and also to have a Dodger protecting the companionway, which is exposed, and water just comes straight down the hatch, or straight down the companionway, um, if there's no cover. And also I wanted to be able to see the sails, so that's why there is actually a window in the Bimini. So as you'll see, I set up the poles and or the frame, and I actually went to get the Dodger the tubing bent, but as it turns out, it is about $250 per arch to have it bent, and I tried other options, tried looking into bending the tube myself, but that required a die and a press. So what I opted for were 90-degree components, which you'll see. And yeah, so a little bit of a preview, but we will go on to the actual boat and see the work. So essentially what I did was I disassembled the existing electrical or the battery, because it was a hazard. There was exposed 6-gauge, 4-gauge wire corroding, cut open, and it was in the bilge, no conduit, and it was actually running over the drive shaft, which was slowly wearing it away. Rewired the batteries in parallel with the charger going in alternate sides to even out the distribution. Cleaned out the back. Found out a huge chunk out of this cable. As you can see, that was submerged in the water in the bilge, and riding over the over top the drive shaft. Right, well, as we can see, the engine's running with my preliminary wiring test. Obviously, main fuse running to the house batteries, and the solar is charging the house batteries. What is not charging is the cranking battery, which needs to be set up to connect with the isolator, which, yes, is inefficient compared to modern isolating switch. I believe this is a diode. In addition, I need to hook up the external regulator and probably mount it outside of the engine compartment. This is all temporary, but the fuse switch for the bilge, which is obviously working but is not extricating the water from the boat, which is problematic. So we need to get I need to get a new length of bilge cable, bilge hose, and hopefully that will resolve it. And then getting rid of this oil. All right, until then, bye. Wow.
So I think we're at week 3. I've hooked up the bilge with a float switch and a manual switch, and just checking on it today, the bilge hose has broken, probably during the cleaning process, which was somewhat vigorous, but there's not a lot of water, maybe about 5 or 6 inches just coming to the base of the switch, which is, I'm not sure if it's engaging. Looks like the switch is engaging the pump, and then it's spraying the bilge water back into the bilge. So kind of ineffective. And today we will be going over measurements and checking the battery system, and hopefully all is well. I'll keep you updated. Bilge hose.
I did buy a wind turbine, so I may actually set that up to charge the cranking battery and then have a dump to heat the water heater. But that is a little bit down the ways. Yeah, so once I rewired it, the first thing was to fuse the battery directly, and I put in I believe it's a 60, might be an 80 amp fuse. Can't remember. There's at least an 80 amp or 60 amp spare, which you can see on the top of the battery, and took the batteries out and cleaned out essentially from the transom to the engine and just scraped all the stuff I could out and cleaned out the engine so that once I got the bilge working, it wasn't pumping out greasy water. And so that was the next safety item. So first was to fuse off the batteries, and the next was to set up the bilge so that it could be manually switched on, or it would automatically run directly from the battery, bypassing the on-off switch. So currently it is set up to its own fuse, 15 amp fuse, which is probably not the correct fuse, but it's better than nothing. And the bilge switch is installed. And so now the bilge is working. Upon further inspection, I found that the saltwater intake is leaking and not actually the drive shaft. And the drive shaft is leaking, but it's within reasonable limits. And so I've postponed repacking the drive shaft bushing until later, but the priority is going to be to repair the saltwater filter and intake, and the filter is quite old, and so I'm going to have to replace that whole system. It's going to need a new through hull and a seacock because that was just impossible to get to. I don't think anybody had checked it. It was broken handle and stuck in the open position, which is a serious safety issue. So that's going to have to be addressed. I did actually buy some components to fix it in situ, but I think I'll haul it out. As you can see, the Bimini and Dodger and the sail cover, in fact, is in rough shape. And, a lot of sailing involves just looking great. So you gotta get rid of the old sail cover, and I've made a pattern using a Sailrite YouTube video and created a stack pack, which is absolutely phenomenal. I recommend it to anyone. I did have to modify it because the boom, or my sail has a bolt rope running along the boom, and what I did is, instead of having ties that go under the sail, I had to run a Dacron sleeve that runs under the bolt rope the length of the boom and holds it in place, and it works quite well actually. So it was just a bit difficult to get on. had to disassemble the boom, or the mast, or the sail.
Our very own Vanna White. So, now that the sail pack is done, if you could please model the ease with which the zipper can be opened.
Let me show you how it works. It goes like this. I'm just going to undo it now.
Oh, other side.
You've got to go to the right side first.
Yes, well that'll be the top.
Here we are.
There we go.
You can see how beautifully this is done. There it's been perfectly sewn with this lovely white stitching to complement the white zipper.
That's very nice. That's professionally done almost.
Yes, it's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, I wonder how much that cost.
Yeah. Right, well, quite skilled, I'd say. So, I'm just going to zipper it down here, like this.
Look at that. Well, that's good. You don't have to open it the whole way.
No.
You can just open it up so that you can just see the functionality.
Right, let me show you.
Oh, look at that.
And look at this lovely white.
Is that custom Dacron that slides under the bolt rope?
And let me tell you something else.
Incredible.
Yeah, and you know, I heard somebody say once that 90% of owning a boat is about it looking nice in the image. But we all know that really it's about sailing in the ocean and feeling free and at one with the sea. Is that right?
That's all true. And sunbathing and fishing.
Yeah.
And crab trapping.
And seeing whales. We want
And
to see
seeing
some
whales.
whales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Shall I zip it back up for you now?
Oh, well, I can do that. But
Oh,
yeah, it
right.
looks great. Look at those. It's got the lazy jack grommets. I mean, those are skookum.
Yeah.
They're really, well, that one's black a little bit, but and look at that. Stitched
Stitched to perfection.
to perfection. Well, I mean, that could hold the weight of the entire boom
Yeah.
as a topping lift.
And once that was installed, the next step was to pattern the Bimini and Dodger, which I did. And I just used regular plastic and taped it in place, and took it home and got the material cut, and again using Sailright's guidance, which are phenomenal videos. I did my best, and unfortunately didn't have enough material to do it properly on the inside, so it's a little bit Mickey Mouse, but it works. And I will show you the installation there as well. The other thing that I did was to build new companionway hatches or hopper doors. As it was, or as it currently is, the companionway hatch is two boards that slide into brackets, and it's actually a safety hazard. The aft hatch in the owner's cabin has been screwed shut with just a ventilation hatch, which is too small to climb out of, and the companionway is inaccessible if you're not tall enough to or climb up the ladder. So the only emergency exit would have been through the forward hatch, and that's just not acceptable. So if there's a fire, everybody needs to get out of the boat, and that's just, it's got to happen. So what I'm going to be doing is installing a spring-loaded companionway, which will open quite easily, and it will look good. I have used mahogany from the Northern Dream project that I worked on, which is now in Baja, and it should look quite nice. All of this is quite pricey. You know, the cloth for the Bimini and the Dodger, it was in the hundreds. The stainless steel tubing was a couple hundred, and the plastic for the plexiglass for the The companionway was a couple hundred, and so bilge hose was 80. These things just keep adding up and adding up. So I did kind of get a deal on the boat, and so I have justified putting some money into it to get it ship shape. But a boat is bring on another 1,000. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. There's lots of work being done, and I absolutely love it. So, until next time.